I've replayed the moment 1,000 times in my head. The sound of tape peeling back, the way he laughed like it was all some stupid prank. But that laugh doesn't echo anymore. What's left instead is silence. His apartment looks like a crime scene without a body. A couch overturned, a trail of dirt smearing the carpet, the faintest streak of something dark across the wall where he must have struggled. And then there's the box. I can't stop picturing it, even though I swear I burned it. A cardboard shell, soggy in the corners, blood seeping through the bottom like it had been soaking for days. When I first saw it, I thought maybe an animal had crawled inside and died. But when I kicked it, when I heard something shift, something that moved, I realized this wasn't roadkill. This wasn't normal. That was the last time I saw my friend alive. Look, I know how this sounds. If you've heard any of those creepypasta stories about dark web mystery boxes, you're probably rolling your eyes right now, thinking this is just another one. But I swear to you, it's not. What I'm about to tell you isn't some chain post for cheap scares. It's the reason my best friend disappeared without a trace. And if I'm being honest, I shouldn't even be telling you this. There are people, things, that don't want these boxes talked about. But maybe if I get it out there, if I tell you everything, someone smarter than me will figure out how to stop it. Or at least, how to survive it. The truth is, the box didn't just contain junk. It contained pieces of a story, his story, our story, that someone, somewhere, was watching unfold long before we even opened it. And once you see those pieces, you can't unsee them. I'm not naive. I know the internet is full of clickbait horror. But this isn't just another story. This is a warning. And you're already in deeper than you think just by listening. Still curious? Good. Then I'll tell you. I'll rewind. I'll take you back to when this all seemed like a joke. When it was just two friends scrolling the web, killing time. Before the box arrived on his doorstep. Before the blood. Before the silence. To understand how it got this far, I need to tell you everything from the beginning. Before everything went to hell, things were normal. Or at least, as normal as they get when you're 20-something, broke, and killing time on the internet at ungodly hours. Nights blurred together in the glow of cheap takeout, secondhand laptops, and Reddit rabbit holes. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. My best friend, let's call him Ryan, had this way of making boredom entertaining. He thrived on chaos, always pushing boundaries just to see how far the line could bend before it snapped. I was the opposite, cautious, skeptical, always the one asking, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" That was our balance. He lit the matches, I kept the fire extinguisher handy. We'd known each other since high school. Back then, Ryan was the kid daring teachers to kick him out of class, while I sat in the back, pretending to focus on notes. He had a grin that could sell you on anything. A stupid scheme, a bad idea, even trouble you knew was coming. It's important you understand this. Ryan wasn't some faceless victim in a horror story. He was real, loud, reckless, irritating at times, but the kind of friend you'd follow into the night just to make sure he didn't get himself killed. Our nights usually started the same way, scrolling through creepy threads, laughing at so-called deep web horror stories. Those posts were everywhere back then. Titles like, "I ordered a mystery box and found human teeth," or "Never click on this link after midnight." We'd sit there, poking holes in the logic, mocking the obviously fake details. Imagine paying $300 for a box of garbage, Ryan snorted one night, crumbs of cold pizza falling onto his hoodie. If I ever did that, I'd hope at least for a severed finger. Get my money's worth. I rolled my eyes, laughing despite myself. Yeah, because nothing says bargain like biohazard waste. He grinned. Come on, man. Don't tell me you wouldn't be curious. And that was Ryan in a nutshell. Always curious. Always itching for the punchline, even if it meant bleeding for it. I'd shrug him off most of the time, but deep down, I admired it. The way he leaned into danger, turned fear into a game. Looking back, maybe that was the first red flag. That reckless curiosity of his was bound to catch up with him eventually. We thought we were untouchable, though. Just two idiots behind screens, laughing at campfire stories dressed up as internet confessions. The scariest thing we faced back then was overdraft fees and the occasional spyware pop-up. At least, that's what I thought. Because it was during one of those nights, cheap beer, endless scrolling, that Ryan leaned back in his chair, eyes sparkling with the kind of mischief I'd learned to dread. "Guess what I did?" he said, grinning like a kid who'd stolen candy. I groaned. "What now?" He tapped the screen, spinning it toward me. An email confirmation glared back. Order placed. Dark web mystery box. I laughed, waiting for the punchline. Yeah, right. But he didn't laugh. He just sat there, proud of himself. Nah, man. This one's real. I finally did it. And that was the moment everything changed. We thought it was just another online dare, another story we'd laugh about later. Until the package showed up. It showed up 3 days later. No tracking number, no delivery confirmation, no knock at the door. Just a thud against the porch sometime between midnight and dawn. By the time Ryan found it, the sun was bleeding through the blinds, and the whole street was still half asleep. "Special delivery," he called, struggling with the weight of it as he kicked the door shut behind him. I looked up from the couch, bleary-eyed. At first glance, it was just a cardboard box, medium-sized, nothing remarkable. But as he set it down on the table, the wood groaned under its weight. Whatever was inside, it wasn't light. "What did you order, a car engine?" I muttered. He smirked. "Mystery solved, it's bricks. Totally worth the $200. I leaned forward. The box was sealed with layers of duct tape, too many to be casual, as if whoever packed it wanted to make sure nothing escaped. There was no return address, not even a barcode, just an unmarked brown shell. And then the smell hit me. It wasn't overwhelming, at least not at first. Just faint, like burnt rubber laced with old pennies. The kind of smell you notice but try to ignore, hoping it'll fade. Except it didn't. It lingered, worming into the back of my throat. "Ryan," I said slowly, "this doesn't smell right." He rolled his eyes. "Relax, Sherlock. It's probably just mildew. Or, the blood of 1,000 victims." He raised his hands like claws and hissed. I didn't laugh. My gaze had caught something else. Black marker scrawled across the tape in looping, jagged strokes. At first, I thought it was random scribbles. Then I realized they were symbols. Not letters. Not quite numbers. Just shapes that didn't belong, repeated over and over until the tape was almost black with ink. "Tell me you see that," I whispered. Ryan squinted. "Yeah, it's doodles." "So what?" Some edgy seller trying to be spooky. But there was no humor in the shapes. They reminded me of something you'd see scratched into a bathroom stall at 3 a.m. Symbols that felt wrong even if you couldn't say why. I pushed the box back across the table. "This is bad. Seriously. We don't know what's in there." Ryan leaned in, grinning wide. "That's the point. It's a mystery box. If it was labeled Happy Meal Toy Surprise, I wouldn't have wasted my money." His nonchalance made my skin crawl. I wanted to grab the box, drag it outside, and toss it into the nearest dumpster. But the curiosity, it was contagious. Just sitting there, the box was daring us. "What if it's dangerous?" I asked. "Then we'll sue," Ryan said, laughing at his own joke. I pressed my lips together, staring at the symbols, the tape, the way the cardboard sagged just slightly at the corners as though it had been damp at some point. My gut told me to walk away, to leave it unopened and forget the whole thing. But Ryan was already reaching for a box cutter. What was inside didn't make sense, I'd later tell myself. And I wish I'd never seen it. At the time, though, I didn't move. I didn't stop him. I just sat there, frozen in the glow of the morning light, listening to the rip of duct tape as Ryan dragged the blade across the top. The box gave way with a sigh, its flaps peeling back like the opening of a wound. And that's when we decided to look inside. The first thing we pulled out looked harmless enough. A stuffed toy, an old teddy bear with one glass eye missing and the other hanging by a thread. Its fur was matted, the color faded into a sickly yellow-brown, and when Ryan squeezed it, the bear let out a wheeze like a smoker's cough instead of a squeak. He held it up by the ear, grinning. "Vintage," he said. "Bet I could sell this on eBay for 50 cents. I forced a laugh, but unease settled in my stomach. It wasn't terrifying, not yet, but it felt wrong. The kind of wrong you don't notice in the moment. Only when you look back later and realize the warning signs were already there. Under the bear was a cracked plastic phone, the kind you'd see in the early 2000s. The screen was spiderwebbed, battery missing. Ryan flipped it open and did a mock announcer voice. Hello. Yes, this is hell. Can I take your order? I shook my head. It's junk. Somebody cleaned out a thrift store and pawned it off as a mystery box. And for a second, I almost believed that. We dug further. A VHS tape, black with the label peeled off. No title, no writing. Just that familiar weight, the faint rattle of film inside. Ryan squinted at it. Man, when's the last time you saw one of these? I don't even own a VCR, I muttered. He grinned, setting it aside like treasure. Guess we'll find one. Mystery solved on eBay. Then came the real shift. Buried beneath the toys and plastic was a cloth bundle, knotted at the corners. Ryan tugged it free, and the smell hit us both, metallic, sharp, like pennies left too long in water. The cloth was white once, but now mottled with brown-red stains. Okay, I said, my voice flat. That's not mildew. Ryan tried to laugh, but it came out nervous. Could be paint, or ketchup, or, blood. He tossed it back into the box like it was nothing, but his smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. I reached for the next item with trembling fingers. A stack of Polaroids, edges curling, colors faded. At first glance they looked random. Streets, cars, storefronts. Then my breath caught, because one of those streets was ours. My hand shook as I flipped through them. A photo of Ryan's apartment building. A photo of the convenience store down the block. And then, clearer than day, a photo of me, crossing the street, head down, headphones in. Ryan, I whispered, holding it out. That's me. That's here. For the first time since the box arrived, he didn't have a joke. He just stared at the photo, his grin crumbling. Okay, he said finally, too loud, too forced. So it's creepy. That's the point. Dark web scare factor. Still could be fake. Fake. I snapped. That's my jacket. That's yesterday. He set the photo down quickly, like it might burn him. Then, trying too hard to recover, he reached back into the box. Last prize, he said. Drumroll, please. Inside was a small flash drive. Plain silver casing, no markings. Harmless at first glance, except for the fact that someone had scrawled a single word on it in black marker. Watch. Ryan's grin returned, shaky but stubborn. Now this is interesting. I shook my head violently. No, we don't plug that in. Not into my laptop. Not into yours. Not into anything. He twirled it between his fingers. Come on, man. It's probably just a prank video. Like a jump scare or some edgy teenager's idea of fun. Or it's a virus. Or worse. He rolled his eyes, pocketing it anyway. You worry too much. I wanted to argue, to snatch it from him and throw it into the trash along with the rest of the garbage. But the words stuck in my throat. Because the truth was, I already knew he wouldn't listen. Ryan never did. There were other things in the box, too. I'm not going to describe all of them. Some things I can't even put into words. Images and objects that twist in my memory like shadows I can't quite focus on. Maybe that sounds like a cop-out. Maybe you think you want the details. Believe me, you don't. The teddy bear, the VHS, the bloodstained cloth, the Polaroids, those were bad enough. But the flash drive, that was the real mistake. Because Ryan kept it. He slid it into his pocket like it belonged to him. Like it was a prize he'd won. And with that simple act, the box stopped being some creepy online dare. It became the start of something else. Something I wish we'd never touched. Ryan plugged the flash drive into his laptop before I could stop him. The screen flickered once, as though the computer itself hesitated. Then a folder popped open automatically. No name, no drive letter, just an empty gray window that shouldn't have been there. Inside were dozens of files. Most were corrupted, their icons fractured, names written in strings of nonsense symbols. But at the top sat a single folder, bold, clean, unmistakable. It was labeled with my birthday. Not Ryan's. Not some random date. Mine. My chest tightened. Don't open that, I said, my voice sharp. Ryan smirked, already double-clicking. Relax. It's just a name. Probably random. But it wasn't random. Inside were subfolders. Each one labeled with specific dates. Birthdays, holidays, even the exact day my parents moved me into college. When he opened one, the files inside made my blood run cold. Blurry images, corrupted snapshots, fragments of photos where I could still recognize my own face. There I was, half-turned, walking out of a grocery store, sitting on a bus, staring at my phone, crossing a parking lot at night, headphones in. Dude, this is insane, Ryan said, his voice bright with disbelief. We're like in a horror movie. I shook my head, while rising in my throat. No, Ryan. This isn't a movie. This isn't a game. Someone's been watching me. Someone's been following me. He leaned closer to the screen, flipping through file after file. His excitement only seemed to grow as mine curdled into panic. Then he found the videos. The first one was static-filled, black and white. At first it looked like security footage from a street corner. Then the angle shifted, and I realized with a jolt it wasn't a street at all. It was the stairwell in my building. The exact stairwell I took every morning. Ryan laughed, nervously this time. Okay, yeah, this is creepy. But maybe it's like stock footage or something.
You can buy that online. Stock footage of my apartment building? I snapped. He didn't answer. He just clicked on the next video. This one was worse, because I recognized the room instantly. The peeling posters on the wall, the unmade bed, the desk littered with monster cans and controller cords. It was Ryan's bedroom, and in the center of the frame was Ryan himself, sitting at his desk, typing away at his computer. The video had no sound, just the grainy motion of him clicking his mouse, adjusting his chair, running his hands through his hair. Ordinary movements, but the camera angle, it was from above, from the corner of his ceiling. There wasn't a camera in his room. I knew that. He knew that. Ryan froze. His face went pale. He stammered. That's impossible. I don't have. I shut the laptop with a snap. Enough. We're done. Whatever this is, it's not a joke anymore. They're not just watching me. They're watching you too. He sat back, blinking fast, chewing his lip. His bravado was crumbling. For a moment, I thought maybe, finally, he understood. But then he forced a laugh, shaking his head. Nah, come on. It's probably like pre-recorded, edited. Somebody messing with us. That's what you pay for, right? Scary vibes. I could barely breathe. My thoughts spun in jagged circles. Someone had been inside his room. Someone had been filming. And then there was the other video. I'm not going to describe it. Not in detail. If YouTube didn't delete this channel outright, the FBI would. I'll just say this. It wasn't a clip of me or Ryan or any place we recognized. It was something else. Something wrong. A human figure moving in ways that weren't human. The kind of thing you see once and wish you could scrub from your brain with bleach. Ryan had watched enough to flinch back, swearing under his breath, before he clicked it closed. We sat in silence for a long moment, the glow of the laptop screen staining his face pale.
Finally, he muttered, Okay, that one, yeah. That one's messed up. No, I whispered. All of this is messed up. Don't you get it? This box isn't random junk. Whoever sold it, they knew us. They know where we live. They've been watching. I wanted him to throw the flash drive away, to dump the box in the trash, to burn every trace of it. Instead, he leaned back in his chair, smirking weakly, as though clinging to the only shield he had left. Come on, man. You're spiraling. It's probably just some dark web LARP thing. You know, people sell these boxes, they track who buys them, build a custom scare package. We're the audience. They're the storytellers. That's all. But his voice wavered. Even he didn't believe himself. Ryan, I said, standing up, fists clenched. This isn't a story. This is our lives. And if you don't take this seriously, something's going to happen. Something worse. He shrugged, trying to look casual. Maybe. But I'm keeping it. The flash drive, the box, everything. This is too good to toss. That was it. I couldn't stay in his apartment another second. The air felt too heavy, like invisible eyes were pressing down on us from every corner. My skin crawled, every nerve screaming at me to get out. Fine, I spat. Keep it. But don't call me when it blows up in your face. I stormed out, slamming the door behind me. And as I left, I swear, I heard his laptop ping, like a notification. As though the files weren't done with him yet. 3 days passed before I realized something was seriously wrong. Ryan wasn't answering my texts. No sarcastic memes, no late-night calls, not even the usual "you alive?" message he'd send when I went quiet for too long. At first, I told myself he was just busy, gaming binge, new obsession, maybe he met someone. But the silence stretched, and by the fourth day, dread clawed at my chest.
I went to his apartment. The hallway was quiet, unusually so. Normally, Ryan's door would be cracked open, music spilling into the building, some chaotic evidence of his presence. But when I reached it this time, it was shut. The air outside was thick with a strange odor, faint but sour, like burnt plastic mixed with spoiled meat. I hesitated before knocking. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Still nothing. That smell seemed stronger now, seeping through the gap at the bottom of the door. My pulse hammered as I tried the handle. Turned. The apartment was dark. Curtains drawn. The air stagnant. Heavy. The smell hit me full force the moment I stepped inside, so foul I gagged. My first thought was death, but the silence was worse. The stillness was absolute, suffocating. His living room looked wrong. The box was still there, ripped open on the carpet. Its contents were scattered across the floor, but not the way we'd left them. Things had been moved, shifted, some broken apart. The Polaroids